Hot takes are everywhere, but they're often uninformed, and major news is biased. We've had enough of hot takes. We want informed takes. Join Kevin Briggins and Devin Smith as they have rational conversations about domestic politics, geopolitics, and military affairs. Things will get interesting as they bring in expert guests, even from across the aisle. Grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and hop into the chat. It's time for Informed Takes.
Yo, welcome back to Informed Take. I am Kevin Briggins. He is Devin Smith, and we are glad that you all are back with us again. We missed y'all last week. But I hope everybody had a happy Mother's Day. How you been, man?
Man, been good. Just grinding, living the entrepreneur life, man. Grinding.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, we it's exciting though. We're gonna be growing soon, and life will get easier as the team gets larger. So, yeah, man, I'm excited. How you doing, man?
I am good, man. I'm good. Like I said, I'm glad we're back on. You know, I missed doing this last week. Mother's Day was great. Unfortunately, I was traveling on Mother's Day, so I didn't even get a chance to be at home with the wife and like celebrate it for real because I had to travel for work. But it was good. But I'm glad to be back. Yeah, glad to be back. And yeah, man, we got a lot to talk about tonight.
We do, man. I mean, that's there's so many things that we intended to cover even on the last show a couple weeks ago that we didn't get to. But the news cycle is just everything is happening so fast. We gotta move on to the stuff that y'all probably want to hear about this week. Which is Trump going and making deals, and people have some things to say about it.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, so Trump's first 100 days we were going to talk about, and we never got to it.
We never got to it, man. We never got to it. I had the thumbnail ready and everything, man. We didn't get to do it. We will talk about some things related to the stuff he's been getting done tonight, though. Some big things he's been getting done and the controversy surrounding that. But his 100 days, man. I actually went and did some research at one point to find out, just kind of how many executive orders he's signed and all that. And he has broken a record for any president in the first 100 days. He has officially broken a record. He's not broken total executive orders, but he has definitely done he's definitely done more than any other president in the first 100 days.
Yeah. I saw that stat as well. I think he still has a long way to go for the total.
Right.
Yeah, but first 100 days, that pen was moving.
Yeah. Yeah. That wrist was very well exercised, man. People say, I haven't seen it yet. People say he throws the pen when he gets done. I'm like, I haven't seen the pen throwing yet.
I hadn't noticed that either.
Yeah, somebody said,
I love how
they're like, I love how he throws the pen after he gets done. I'm like, I haven't seen him throw the pen. He puts the pen down and he holds the thing up. Like, what are you talking about? I've never seen him throw the pen. Maybe he does.
I don't know. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think doesn't FDR hold the record for like the most in like a term?
I mean, it
most
wouldn't surprise
orders.
Me.
Yeah, I think it's FDR.
It wouldn't surprise me. And in my opinion, you don't want to be pushing for that for that record, man. You don't want that.
I definitely think it's going to slow down. Man, I know you had a long day. What you drinking on?
Oh man. Okay, so I had to make it quick, so I didn't have to go upstairs and mix anything. But Hazy Ponce IPA. I'm not a huge IPA guy, but this particular IPA I like, and it was given to me. All my stuff at this point is like stuff that people have given to me, and I was like, oh man, I got some beer in the fridge. Let me go grab that real quick. I can't have Kevin showing me up completely again this week. I'm almost afraid to ask, what are you drinking?
So Shalonda came through again. She did.
Man, I got to full screen it. I got to full screen it. Hold on. Let me full screen the drink. Right. Oh man.
As you can see, I'm matching the shirt.
Oh my gosh.
This was completely unintentional. But it is a strawberry coconut screwdriver. Right? So vodka and orange juice, and she put she made a strawberry and coconut syrup that she then mixed in. And so it's a strawberry coconut screwdriver. That's what we're doing tonight.
Man, I'm just gonna cut the stream. I'm gonna quit the show. What? You got your own bartender?
Oh, I do.
What? Man, this is. Man, I'm gonna have to work on. I have to work on y'all, man. Y'all got to move to ATL so I can get this. When you come to ATL and you come to the studio, I'm gonna expect you to have the cooler with the drinks in it, man. I'm gonna send y'all the money so Shalonda can make me some of these drinks, man.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna have her. Yeah, we're gonna have her come to the studio and set up a little bar or something. She can make drinks during the show.
That'd be amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. There it is. There it is right there. That's gonna be. We're gonna have to set up a camera. We're gonna set up a camera on the bar.
Absolutely.
Shalonda's probably back there like y'all ain't paying me enough. Oh man. Let me crack my beer then.
Go ahead. At least it's an IPA. At least you can like, hey, I got a Bud Light. You got.
Yeah, never that. Never that. Was it the saying an elephant never forgets?
Yeah. I got you.
Shane Gillis, you do your thing, Shane Gillis, but I never liked it in the first place, so you wasn't gonna get me back because I was never there.
Yeah. You look like a Pabst Blue Ribbon, a PBR guy yourself. I'm just saying.
Oh man. Okay. So only because I didn't know anything about PBR. The only reason I know
I
about
was just
PBR,
joking. I didn't know you was gonna have a story.
but college, man, and them dudes swore by PBR because you could drink a beer for $1. You could drink a beer for $1. And so these dudes were like, yeah, man, PBR. And I'm just like, all right, whatever.
When in Rome.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
It does not taste good. It's not. Yeah.
I can imagine. I don't like beer at all. I'm not a big alcohol guy to begin with. This is like the one time I have a drink. It's when we do the show. We go out to dinner, and if I'm not driving, I might have something that looks similar to what I have tonight. If it's tropical and fruity and got an umbrella in it, I'm your guy. You know. I just have to give up. When it comes to alcoholic drinks, I give up my man card. Right? I'm not
the man card been revoked, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm not drinking the old fashions with the bourbon or glass of scotch. Like nah,
man.
I want some tropical and fruity.
So I was getting ready to go upstairs and make myself apple juice and vodka because I was like, that's something quick I could do. I could put some ice in that, some apple juice and vodka. But I was like, man, we getting ready to be live in like 4 minutes. I ain't trying to go make a drink right now. Let me just get this beer out the fridge. So you showed me up once again. I mean, it's like I'm like right here. You're like all the way up here. It's all good. It's okay. I'll deal with it. By the way, Mountains for Me 117. Welcome, first live show. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, welcome. I saw that.
Yeah, if we got you in the chat, let us know in the chat where you're watching from, and thank you for joining.
Yeah. So man, let's start going through these topics because we got quite a few to talk about tonight.
We do, man.
Yeah. So your boy Trump allowed some refugees in.
Yes. Yes, he did.
Caused a little bit of controversy because I thought the refugee program was paused.
Yeah, so did I. I mean, that was the word that went out. And there are a lot of folks who were actually already promised refugee status in the United States that we revoked it. We put them on indefinite hold. So yeah, man, when you say it's on pause and then you go do this, it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
Yeah.
We can get into the specifics, all the ins and outs here. But that's the early take that everybody has on that.
Yeah. So man, let's dive into this first topic.
Let me start here. Despite the president's repeated reference, can we just start this conversation by agreeing that Afrikaners are not facing genocide?
Absolutely not. First of all, I have to correct the facts, Victor. You said that no refugees were let in. Under President Donald Trump, since January 20th, 8,666 individuals have been granted asylum. Those people have faced persecution for their politics, persecution for the color of their skin, their religion, and that includes those 59 Afrikaners who came in this country last week who have faced racial violence at the hand of their own government. They've had their land seized because of the color of their skin. There's been over 140 laws enacted that are race-based and to discriminate against racial minorities. So I got to correct the facts where you're wrong, Victor, and you're wrong.
So, several things. President Ramaphosa says that although the law was signed in January that would give the government the purview to take the land, no land has been taken from Afrikaners. Also, that's President Ramaphosa. He'll be at the White House this week. Take it up with him. Also, the definition of genocide is aimed at extermination, right? And so although there is violence in South Africa, there's violence against black South Africans too. So when the president says that there is genocide, where is the evidence? The U.S. has not recognized officially genocide.
I got to pause right here.
Okay.
Because one of the things that he is conveniently not mentioning here, and I think that it is it's disingenuous to not mention this, that Julius Malema, who is a massive figure in politics, not just in South Africa, but across the African continent. He's regarded as probably the third biggest politician in Africa, period. The calls that Malema makes, and if you see the crowds at Malema's rallies or gatherings, whatever they want to call them, they are not small crowds. They are very large crowds, and he's whipping these people up. And the rhetoric is absolutely racial. The rhetoric he's been asked in the past because he's alluded to perhaps the solution needing to be to kill the white South Africans. He's been asked about this. He said, "Hey, the journalist said, you've mentioned, you've said things that are borderline, calling for genocide, and are you calling for genocide?" He's like, "We're not calling for genocide for now. We're not calling to kill white South Africans for now." And he doubled down. The journalist asked him again. He said, "Wait, okay, so when people hear this, that for now is a big qualifier." He's like, I cannot say about what's going to happen in the future. We're not calling for the white South Africans to be killed for now." And so it's very convenient for this journalist here, this anchor, to not mention the fact that a major political figure with thousands and thousands and thousands, potentially millions of followers, is low-key calling for violence against white South Africans and saying that he will not rule out calling for genocide against white South Africans in the future. He will not rule it out. His words.
Yeah. I mean, it is not that whether it's happening now or not. He basically was letting them know, at my call, it can.
Right.
And he's open to that. But for right now, no, we're not there yet. Like, that's crazy.
And I got to think about it. I'm putting myself in the shoes of a white South African. I have a white South African friend who lives there right now, lives in Johannesburg. I'm worried about the guy. I need to check in on him. But if I were in his shoes, I wouldn't be waiting for them to get there. I'm not waiting. You telling me I can get on a plane and get my family out of here? Yo, I'm out. I'm gone. Yeah. Call me a baby. Because that's Malema then. Actually, I think the president of the country called the Afrikaners babies.
He called them cowards.
Yeah.
He called them cowards for leaving.
Yeah. That's right. He called them cowards. Malema called them babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a good situation there. I have a South African friend too, who I actually talked to today because I knew we were going to talk about this. I say, "Okay, give me your take on it. What is your feelings on it?" And so we're going to dive into some of the things that he kind of expressed. So you can go with the video. Yeah.
Yep.
Nations has not recognized genocide, and for the thousands of people who you say were let into this country who've been granted asylum,
who cares what
I'm
the
talking
UN
under
thinks?
the refugee resettlement program, which the president froze by executive order early in his administration.
Victor, can we take a pause and
Sure.
recognize the fact that you are defending race-based discrimination? You are defending race-based violence.
I'm not defending race-based discrimination in any way. The president uses the term genocide. There is no genocide in South Africa, and frankly, it does a disservice to people in countries around the world who are facing genocide in the Congo, in Sudan, those who faced it in Rwanda and Bosnia and Cambodia. So when the president says that there's genocide in South Africa, it does not exist. We should probably just start with that truth.
Okay, if you're going to allow me on your program, I'd like to speak.
You're welcome
Again,
to.
we have granted asylum to 8,666 individuals since January 20th, regardless of color or creed. It is quite frankly disturbing to me that members of the media, including people who are on this very network, are trying to whitewash the facts and whitewash the fact that these individuals have faced discrimination, racial violence, the seizure of their land based on nothing but their skin color alone. This is the United States of America, a land of opportunity, and we will help those who are facing persecution from the government of South Africa.
So you clearly are not going to acknowledge there's no genocide in South Africa. What about the genocide in the Congo? Will there be this expedited path available to the Congolese and to the Sudanese who are facing actual genocide?
Again, Victor, 8,666 individuals have been granted
You have
asylum.
a specific number on?
Man.
Yeah. So that's that. So if you didn't know, Trump allowed 59 Afrikaners to immigrate to the U.S. under the refugee program to seek asylum because of persecution. Because, as we said earlier, the refugee program had been paused. And so the fact that this is kind of an exception kind of leads people to ask, okay, why is there an exception for South Afrikaners versus others who were trying to get asylum? And that's a valid question. And even though the journalist, the anchor, didn't mention, the kind of things we were talking about, I do agree with him that the president using the term genocide as if like an actual noun, that's a valid thing to question.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that him talking about it as though it is present tense, it's happening already, is grossly misleading. At best, it's ignorant. At worst, it is grossly misleading to try to get an emotional response out of people. And
yes,
we know that President Trump tends to not be careful with his words. He will just, whatever's in his head, he's letting it fly. At least when he's in front of a camera. I've heard that he can tend to be a different person behind closed doors sometimes. For sure. Definitely less. The rhetoric gets dialed down, among other folks, but it depends on what you're talking about and how you make it feel, of course.
Yeah.
But
and we also don't know what he's been told. Right. If he's been told that that's what's happening, then he's going to just regurgitate. That's what's happening on the ground because that's what he's been told.
Right. Right. And that could be a problem. The reality of this is, I've had conversations about this week. The reality of this is Elon Musk went to him and said, "Hey, my homeland is having this problem. Please help. Yep. Please help, my people." That's basically, this is why Trump is paying any attention at all to South Africa. Let's go ahead and be honest. If Elon Musk didn't go and talk to him about it, Trump would not be paying attention to South Africa at all.
Yeah. So just to give some context, because this is all about farmland and Afrikaners, so white South Africans, they're about 8% of the population, but they own around 70% of the land. They are the farmers too. That's just the way it is. But yet there's this push to undo past wrongs and to take land from whites and give that land to blacks who they view as native, right? So just for reference to South Africa, you have the Afrikaners who are white, you have coloreds who are basically mixed, and then you have blacks who are like they consider the indigenous. And so it's like three different racial groups per se. And the what the government is doing, the current president he's basically socialist Marxist. He's woke, he's BLM. He talks about justice and equity and all of those buzzwords, right? And they passed this thing in January, which basically allows them to take land at their own whim, right? And they would be taking land from white South Africans to give to others to be equitable. And so that's what they're facing. And we're gonna play another clip where this guy even talks about taking the land at no, like not buying it from them, not anything, like at no cost to just take the land. That is what would be just. And so it's not a good situation. And I talked to my South African friend. He's an Afrikaner, and he said it's basically been this way in terms of the he said these policies are just a continuation of what's been happening ever since apartheid ended. And so he's now in the United States. And he said the reason that he left South Africa is because he couldn't get a job, and he couldn't get a job because he's white, right? Because that's just there's like there's an attempt to undo wrongs, and just kind of like here in America when they talk about undoing wrongs, you want to hire and give advantages to people who you view as in the past were discriminated against, right? So you basically just quote unquote reverse the discrimination, and that's what's been going on. And white South Africans have kind of learned to just kind of live with it for the most part. I will say this, from my understanding from talking to my friend, there's been a slow drain for a long time. People have been leaving because of those reasons. Maybe not coming to the US, but going to the UK and France and Australia, just going to other places. But they've been leaving South Africa as a slow drip for 20, 25 years. It's just now it's getting to the point where it's turning violent. Farmers have been getting killed. So white farmers have been getting killed. I don't know the exact numbers, but we do know that it's something that's been happening. And people are starting to feel like it's not safe there anymore, especially given the rhetoric, like you just said, when you're talking about we're not at the point yet of killing whites yet. Yeah. But it's definitely a situation where you can see people need to get out or will want to get out before you get to that point. We've seen on the continent of Africa, we've seen these types of things happen before, where one group decides, you know what, we're fed up with this group, and it gets bloody and it gets violent, right? Rwanda was horrible. And we've seen it in other places. And when you got people who are ready to commit those types of actions, you might want to go ahead and get out of there. And so the Trump administration allowed an exception for so far 59 white South Africans to come to the United States in refugee status. I do think, despite her number of 8,667, I think she said, people given asylum, I do believe that there is I would say, racial and cultural preference given out in this case. If you're just around certain elements of Twitter, you hear this type of rhetoric about immigration and the type of people we should allow to immigrate here. And it is people who share the same values, which typically means white Europeans, white South Africans, Australia, like culturally like-minded people allowed to immigrate here, and people who are not culturally like-minded, let's say Syrians, Muslims, Afghanis, you push those out. You don't allow them to come in. And from everything I've seen, that has been that is the policy of this administration, is to say Afghanis got to go home, right? Others have to go. And okay, yo, South Africans, come on. Yeah. So to sit up here and deny that is kind of what the policy of the administration or the viewpoint of the administration is would be the gaslight. And I'm not here to do that. I do think there's there's a racial and cultural preference being handed out in terms of our immigration policies.
Yeah, I think that I won't go as far as saying it's racial. I will definitely say it's cultural. It's
100% cultural.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think that it is necessarily racial. I'd need to see more to say that flatly. But it's not looking great. I'll say that. It's not looking great right now. But I'll reiterate, like, I don't think Trump even pays attention to South Africa if Elon Musk doesn't ask him. I don't think it's even a concern for him.
True. You can influence in this situation. I will say this too, for people who don't understand the relationship between the United States and South Africa right now. South Africa is viewed as an adversarial state right now. They are part of BRICS with Russia and China. And their whole goal is to move away from the Western system of power, to move away from the dollar, and to rival us. And so South Africa is not friendly to the West right now. They took the side of Hamas in the Israel-Gaza situation. And so South Africa is a place that is starting to, be just on that other side with our enemies. I play this. If there was a world war that broke out today, South Africa would fight with China and Russia.
100%. Yeah.
They would not fight with the West.
Yeah.
And it has to do with their leadership. Imagine if BLM became the leadership of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty much what you have in South Africa. This very anti-Western, and to a degree, you can say how can you blame them? No, they went to apartheid. They finally got power, and now they're just very anti the West. I can see that. I can understand it, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that it's not foolish. It doesn't mean it's not irrational to a degree. Because getting in bed with China is not necessarily gonna might not end up in your best interest either. But they are heavily in bed with China. China has so much infrastructure and development there, and like I said, because they're on the BRICS, and so China is flooding in a lot of resources, opening up factories. You go there, because my friends, they just got back from spending time there, and they were just amazed at the amount of Chinese that are there and the Chinese infrastructure, and they're building up entire sides of town, and
wow,
it's so. Wow. And so South Africa, from a government standpoint, has detached themselves from the West, and they've joined forces with China. Yeah, and so part of this is somewhat of a I would say a middle finger to South Africa. It's you know what? Yeah, we will take your people. Yep. And give them refugee status. Yeah. Sadly, this is my fear for South Africa as a nation, because we've seen this in communist countries before, when those type of people come to power and they start redistributing farmland from people who have farmed for generations and giving it to people who don't know how to farm just because they got a certain skin color. Your country ends up starving.
Yep. That's exactly. I saw somebody talking about that this evening. I saw a report basically that there's already some mismanagement happening with the farmland that has already been seized. And I saw the stats on how much of the food the Afrikaners make that the country consumes, and I didn't see a single digit below 75%. Most of the numbers that I saw of different types of food were in the 90th percentile.
Yeah. From my understanding, they have great farmland there. Great farmland. And the people who've been farming it for generations now, we're talking about the last 500 years, has been the white South Africans since they got there.
Yeah.
And it's like you remove that knowledge of generations, and you seize that land and you start giving it to other people.
Yeah.
You just might starve.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's, we have to take a step back and look at it. It's like, okay, because I know the retort from some folks is probably going to be like, well, like at least they're trying to pursue some type of justice for apartheid. Like at least they're trying to do something about it. They're trying to right the wrongs. They're trying to give people back what was stolen from them. And I know some folks are going to feel that way. The question then is, okay, so do you go and you just take the land, say, hey, guess what? You're screwed. Like your grandfather, your great grandfather, your great grandfather got this land because they took it from some tribal folks. We taking it back. Get out. Is that the right answer? And I'm not trying to say that I have all the answers, but that answer doesn't seem right.
No, you can't undo some wrongs from hundreds of years ago. You just can't. And whenever people try to do that, they end up really screwing things up.
Right.
Yeah. So there's another clip on this. I don't know if you have it pulled up.
Yep.
Yeah, let's check out this next clip.
About this. Land must be expropriated without compensation.
So deep into history, you've taken us back to the 17th century. Yes. In that case, shouldn't everybody leave the property to the Khoisan, who are thought to be the native occupants of South Africa?
No, actually, Africa and South Africa, it belongs to the Bantu people. It belongs to the Ngunis. So it belongs to the people of Africa.
What about Tavy here?
We are not saying it doesn't belong here. Now that we are living together here, our perspective is that the land must go back to the chiefs, the traditional leaders, and the state. We are unapologetic about this. Land must be expropriated without compensation.
So deep into history, you've taken us back to the 17th century.
Yes.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Land taken without compensation. And even when she made the point of, well, shouldn't just go back to this group that is thought to be the local indigenous tribe here? He's like, no.
Yeah.
It's Africans in general,
Right. And that right there, I'm so thankful for that clip because that right there shows we're not interested in doing the right thing. We're not interested in doing the right thing because it's like, okay, how far back do you want to roll this? How far back do you roll it? Do you take it back all the way back, right? And I got the same words for people in the United States and anywhere else who want to talk about, oh, we're on stolen land. We're on stolen land. It's like, okay. I mean, if you think the answer is to say that all lands have to be given back to the indigenous people, like, one, good luck working that out. Two, you're basically saying that you are going to try to go back and undo every wrong in history, and you're gonna cast the judgment on who should have and should not have had the land. And the only way, if you're gonna follow that logic, there may be some different stipulations you could put in there. It's like, okay, if they went and fought a war of aggression against somebody and then that person retaliated and won the war, then, then yeah, those people get to keep the land because they were defending themselves and those are spoils of war. I can see somebody saying that. But on the whole, you're going to have a pretty difficult job in front of you trying to hand all the land back to indigenous people. So that's why I don't think this makes sense. And he's demonstrated clearly he's not interested in that. He's interested in getting the land for his people, for his tribe.
Yes.
He's interested in that. He's not interested in justice. He's interested in
benefiting himself.
Yes, like self enrichment.
Yes. And that's always the issue with these power grabs, right? It is never about justice. It is never really about justice. Justice is just the banner used to justify the theft.
Right.
Because that's what this is. It's theft.
Yeah. And that's not to say that it's not to say that a theft didn't happen in the past. I don't know all of the history of South Africa, and I know though that there were great wrongs committed, absolutely horrible wrongs committed. I mean, you actually hear Trevor Noah. I don't agree with the guy politically on pretty much anything, or worldview wise on very few things as well. But he talks about what it was like for him to grow up in South Africa, and that stuff was terrible. I watch movies that were made to kind of tell that story, and it was awful. But shall we compound sin with sin? And so if you can, if you're looking at somebody who's alive today, who went and forcibly, violently, let's put that caveat in there, forcibly and or violently took land away from other people, they're alive today, they are the ones on that land, maybe you can litigate that. Because you got to go back and prove it, and essentially what you're doing is you're saying that this person has committed a crime, and that crime needs to be punished. This whole idea that you're just going to take the land in an effort to do cosmic justice, to right the wrongs of the past, that's not how this should work. If you're saying that it was stolen, then a criminal act has been committed, and you go after the people who have committed those criminal acts. But if you're trying to go and you're trying to get cosmic justice and right the wrongs of history, you're going to find yourself trying to play God, and it's not going to turn out well.
Yeah. Can you put up A.E. Rogers' comment up there? I think that's a good kind of thing to touch on. Yeah. So AE says, why don't the Afrikaners flee to the countries of their heritage, none of which would be America? I think that's a good question. I think it just goes back to the fact of when you've been in one place for 500 years, you really don't feel any ties to any other place than that place. That place is your heritage. That place is your home in terms of, as far as back you can trace, your family has been there. And so, if your family might have came, might be Dutch, back down the line somewhere. But at some point, these people don't see themselves as anything other than South African. It's kind of like an American today. Even though we can do a Ancestry.com test and come out and say, oh, your heritage is, Irish and Wales and whatever. Nobody actually feels that that's their hair. Nobody feels like I need to go back to Ireland or,
right.
Most of mine is Nigerian. I don't feel any ties to Nigeria or feel like I'm Nigerian.
Right.
It just and so they're just going wherever they can. Like I said, my friend said they've been leaving South Africa for decades now and going to all other kind of European countries. Because they don't have any ties to any particular European country. They're just leaving and going and settling in the best place they can. Because in their minds, home is what they're leaving. There is no home to go back to. That's a theoretical home. Like, my home is not Nigeria.
Yeah.
My home is Alabama, United States of America. If someone say, go back to where you came from, I'm like, Birmingham? Like,
Right.
what are you talking about?
Yeah, if somebody said that to me, I'd be like, talking about South Carolina. I mean, I could go back there. If you're talking about Africa, one, I'd have to find out, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to ask my dad, because he did the whole. I can't remember if they did Ancestry or what, but they did it and find out, a lot of his heritage. I had to go back there, and the funny thing is, if you trace it back, it's like the way you got over here. Is going to involve getting done wrong by people who look like you and people who don't look like you. If we're going to use that terminology, because I hate that term.
Yeah.
I hate that term. I hate that phrase. But that's what's going to happen. Is you're going to find out, like, neighboring tribe went and raided y'all, sold you off to the Europeans, and that's how your people wound up over here. And I mean, I'm gonna go back there. Oh, for reals? Like, and the attitude, because I've lived outside the country.
Yeah.
The attitude towards Americans, depending on where you go, is not high. Like, and I've heard that in many spots, in Africa, the attitude towards Black Americans specifically, that is, it's not a great one. That's not everywhere. I'm not saying that's everywhere. But I mean, you literally have Nigerian parents who, when they immigrate over here and their kids are looking at dating, those Nigerian parents will tell them, you are not allowed to date a Black American.
Yes.
They will say that.
I've heard that. that. And this all had to do with culture, right?
Yep. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And so, funny story, the movie The Woman King, right? That with what's her name?
Was that what's her face from Black Panther?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't see it because I saw the previews and I was like, I'm not making myself sit through this.
Yeah, but you know what? I didn't watch it either, but I know that the plot of the movie is they're fighting against the white slave traders, but the real history is that they were the slave traders.
They were basically the hit ladies to go and grab the slaves.
Yes. And once England started to end the slave trade, they started to fight the Europeans, because the Europeans were trying to end the slave trade. They didn't want it to end, right? So that's the real history. But in the movie, they were the heroes fighting against the slave traders.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I went back and did my research, and that tribe is who sold my people into slavery.
There it is. There it is.
It's like, this is crazy.
Hey, listen, but you're not allowed to be mad at them. You only allowed to be mad at the white people. You're only allowed to be mad at the Europeans. That's it, okay? Can't be mad at the bald-headed ladies with the spears, okay? You can't.
You can't. You can't. But all that to say, I think we're going to see more South Africans come. I think more going to... I hope it doesn't get to the point to where the rhetoric is leading.
Yeah.
But they didn't pass that law in January to sit on it. They passed it for a reason. And when they start taking land, forcibly through government action, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes down.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think you're looking at you're likely looking at either economic collapse or because of the food situation.
Or
you're looking at China is going to move in.
I thought about that. China's going to move any more. But I'm going to tell you right now, China can't help you with your food problem.
No.
China can't export you food. China is an importer of food, right?
Yeah. They got a lot of people to feed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so for the sake of South Africa, even though they are kind of an adversarial nation, just from a human perspective, I hope they don't ruin themselves.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely. 100%.
The last thing we need is a famine and millions of people dying in South Africa because they screwed up their food source.
Yeah. 100%.
You know,
no, I'm thinking about my friend, and I'm like, you know what? I when I started hearing about that stuff, and I saw some of this the rhetoric from Malema, and I'm hearing, seeing this video and some of the other stuff, I'm just like, bro, get on that plane, man. Get your family on that plane. Get up out of there, man. Like,
yeah,
don't wait around for it to get real ugly. Get the heck out of there.
Yeah. Especially when the president called people who left cowards. So, at what point does he stop? At what point does he prevent people from leaving?
Oh, yeah. I am concerned about that. That they may try to stop them. I think that the other thing that I'm concerned about is that after a certain point, the cultural movement behind Malema, the president just kind of allows it to take hold.
From my understanding, that's been the issue, is that you've had these murders of white farmers with no resolve. Like, it's almost like it's just been allowed to happen. Or at least they feel like it's just been allowed to happen and turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Have you seen any footage of there's a road in South Africa where they put up a white cross along the road for every white farmer that gets killed.
No.
And
I didn't see that.
I think over the last few decades, there's over 4,000 crosses on the side of the road representing farmers that have been killed.
That is close to the number that my friend said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't researched it, so I didn't throw it out there, what he said, but yeah, apparently that's the thing. I didn't see the crosses thing, but yeah, over the years, there's been a lot of white farmers killed and no kind of consequences for it happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say
Africa saddens me. Go ahead.
I'll say real quick. I just want our viewers and listeners to understand. We're gonna call balls and strikes, man. We're gonna call balls and strikes. You will see us speak out against denying Afghanis who helped us over there their refugee status, and we ain't gonna be mad when people are being threatened with genocide. Or it's being dangled like, oh, we might do it. We're not doing it right now, but we might. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at them putting them on the plane and getting them out of there. I'm not. We should have taken the Afghanis and the Afrikaners.
100%. 100%. And I say that as someone who understands the issues that Europe is having because of the type of immigrants they let in.
100%.
The issue is not the fact you let in certain types of immigrants. This I was telling somebody on Twitter. I was arguing with someone who would probably consider themselves a white nationalist or whatever, right? We were just having this discussion. And I was like, you can't blame immigration in general for our lack of actually educating people on our way. Like, we had no process for immigrating people and assimilating people. Right. So you can't say they can't assimilate or they won't assimilate when we made no effort to assimilate people.
That's exactly right. Right. That's exactly right. It used to be a culturally enforced thing, really. And I'm not saying it was all pretty, but assimilation used to be a culturally enforced thing, and it was largely self-enforced. So people who were coming here were saying, hey, we have to be Americans. Like, that meant something. That meant that you were supposed to embody the values, et cetera. Now, when I see a Cuban who escaped Cuba, who came here and they were able to get citizenship or at least residency, and they're proud. They're like, I'm an American now. I'm an American.
Red, white, and blue.
Let me go ahead and tell you right now, that's the only way this works. That's the
Yes.
only way this works. This whole
Yeah, and
idea that we're going to absorb these cultures that have ideologies that are antithetical to the American way of life, which is based on Christian values. You can't bring that in and expect those two things to mix well and get along. They can't get along because they are fundamentally at odds with each other. They can't work together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Assimilation
Facts.
is necessary. It's a 4-letter word to some people, but you cannot have a functioning society. You can't have a unified society without assimilation. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
No, you're right. And we took it for granted as if it was just an automatic thing. Because like you said, it was almost kind of culturally enforced. Well, what happens when it's no longer culturally enforced and we move towards this idea of multiculturalism and just kind of liberalism and progressivism, and nobody's forcing kind of this Americanized type of culture because in their minds, that's bad, right?
Right. Right.
And so what we have is you ended up with, and I'm just going to say this to, people who might be, immigrants from somewhere else. If you're going to march and protest, you might not want to do it with the flag from the country you're from. Because the only thing you're saying to us is we need to send you back there.
Yep.
If you love it so much, you're so
Go
proud
back.
of it, go back. Right?
Especially if you're here
like,
illegally. The folks who are here illegally waving the flag.
So when the Mexicans are protesting and marching, they got Mexican flags. I'm like, bro, one-way ticket.
Hey, Tom. Hey, we got some right here. Hey, Chris, we got some.
The Somalis up in like places like Minnesota, you're gonna have the Somali flag. Okay, all right, bye.
Right here. I mean that I don't understand why they do that. I've seen them, dude. Like I'm in metro area of ATL. Not ATL proper, but in the metro area. Because I like having a yard.
Dude, that statement only works for people in Atlanta. Because people in Atlanta are very sensitive about what's Atlanta and what's not. To the rest of us, it's all Atlanta. So
it's true.
in our
It's
minds,
true.
man, you live in Atlanta.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And when I lived in Greenville, if somebody told me, I remember getting annoyed when somebody like, oh, I live in Marietta. It's like, is that Atlanta or not Atlanta? What is it? And when I found out how close it was, like, stop saying Marietta. Nobody cares. You live in Atlanta.
Yeah, you from Atlanta.
You live in Atlanta. But none of us care, like I've seen people here. I've seen people like out here, protesting with Mexican flags and stuff. And I'm just like, what? So why are you here then? Like, if you waving that flag, why are you here? If you repping that flag, why are you here? It used to be that you wanted to be an American.
Yeah.
And now being an American, being proud of America means that because people think that means you're co-signing everything that America's ever done, good or bad. And that's not what that means. It means you stand for the idea. The great thing about America is that America is an idea. America is this idea that people can self-govern, that they can have freedom to pursue happiness and not have their speech curtailed. All those things. It had never been done up until that point in American history. And as we've mentioned on the show before, still to this day, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, America's the only country in the world where speech is protected.
Yes.
I mean, it's the only country in the world with free speech. Those things are what we're repping. When we wave the American flag, when my boy Kevin salutes the American flag, that's what we're repping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
it's the ideals.
We're not repping slavery. Like it's so. I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but it's a little bit obtuse to think that just because somebody likes America, that they also approve of the transatlantic slave trade. You see how ridiculous that is?
Yeah. I'll put it like this. I'll give an example. When China passed that law to basically put Hong Kong under their judicial reach, right? Basically, primary mainland China was basically taking over Hong Kong, even though they weren't. It was supposed to be separate. And the people, because for people who don't know, Hong Kong for many years was under British control, and they had Western laws. They had a Western judicial system, and so even when it was handed back to mainland China, it was under the agreement that Hong Kong would keep its way of life and its Western judicial system and all that type of stuff. Well, the mainland Chinese government basically reneged on it a few years ago, and the people of Hong Kong were protesting. And when they were protesting, guess what they did? They were flying American flags.
Let's go.
Not because they approved of the transatlantic slave trade. They were talking about the ideals of America. They were talking about freedom, right? And they realized being under communist China, their freedoms were going to leave. And so the flag represents something.
Yes.
Right? So,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I got goosebumps, man. I got goosebumps. That's right. The flag represents something. And that's so I get irritated, okay? I get very irritated when I see immigrants here they are waving the flag of another country and talking smack about America. I get very irritated about that because you came here because it's better than where you came from. So maybe you shouldn't come here waving that flag. If you're leaving it, leave it.
Hey, what JD Vance said? You ain't even said thank you yet.
No, you did. No, you did.
Not one time have you said thank you.
You did not. Oh my gosh! If y'all don't get that reference, I would just look it up. If y'all don't get that reference, that was well played. That was well played. I think that what was it? I think it was E. Rogers said, "Hey, seems like some hardcore Muslims and other anti-USA immigrants to America would prefer to live in South Africa to America. Why don't we give that a try?"
Hey, absolutely. Absolutely.
I tell you what, like some of these folks talk about, I'm gonna go back to Africa. There's actually, I wish I could find the video. I wish I could find the video because there's a woman who she went to Africa. When Trump won, she said, "No, I'm out. I'm going to Africa." And she's not happy. She is not happy. She's talking about all the problems, the bribes, all the stuff. And I'm just like, I mean, you know what? I have more respect for you because you actually went. So I have more respect for you.
When I started, when I did my ancestry test and I really found out where I was from, heritage-wise, I started, watching a lot of YouTube videos from certain places in Africa because some places are really big on, hey, Black Americans come back home type of deal. And some people do, but they end up making these YouTube videos. And some people, a lot of those videos were warnings. It was like, temper your expectations when you get here. Realize you're not in America anymore because they don't realize how good they have it here. And then they go somewhere else and they just think, sad, crazy enough, Black people think Black people are just Black people and they ignore culture. And they think Africans have the same culture as us, or we have the same culture as them. And it's like, no. You are an American, whether you know it or not. You are culturally an American. I don't care how black you are, right? You are not Ghanaian. You're not Nigerian. They have a completely different culture over there. And so when people go over there with their American culture and they realize, hold up, things don't work the same here. Why can't, things aren't as efficient? Why is customer service not great? Why is it taking so long for my power to get turned on? Like just things, just natural life things. And they can't figure out why it's so slow. It's like, because you're an American and you're used to things being efficient and happening and customer service. They have a different culture. They're very slow to do things.
Yeah.
When they get to it, they'll get to it. right? Just
Right.
it's slow moving.
I mean, you know, and I think that they realize real quick. They get over there. It's like, oh, hey, that was an American thing. That was or perhaps a Western thing.
Yes.
Yes. And it's interesting because it goes back to what I said. It's, part of what's done that damage is that whole phrase, people who look like me. You thought that you were like them because you look like them.
Yeah.
Why did you think that? Why did you think that? Because you believed a lie. You believed a lie.
Yeah. Hey, one thing that got me about Ghana is when you rent somewhere, you don't pay month to month. You pay the year up front. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you gotta have a wad of cash.
Oh, snap.
So I mean, if your rent is $1,000 a month, you gotta give them $12,000 up front.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh? That is indeed different.
It's different.
That's indeed different. Man, look at what Claire's talking about. Claire said she was at a sporting event. She said, when it came time to do the national anthem, the announcer said, if you're willing and able, please stand for the national anthem.
No, that would never fly here in the South.
When did we say willing? When did we say willing?
Like, stand your behind up and
right.
But no, it's just an expectation. Like,
right.
They say, please stand for the national anthem. That's it.
Right.
There's no willing.
Now, nobody's going to come up and put a gun to your head and be like, hey, stand for the national anthem, or go back to where you came from. Like, nobody's going to do that. But, I mean, when you think about it, it's like, because I went through a phase, okay? I went through a phase in high school. I was surrounded,
Interesting.
I was surrounded by people who, I was surrounded by a lot of liberals. I mean, none of my, I want to say I literally can remember only 2 friends that I had who were conservative. 2. And, of course, grew up in a black family. We Democrat. And it's just, there was not pride in America. And I started, as a young guy, I'm looking to stand for something. So I got to the point when I was in high school where they would do the national anthem and I would sit or I would stand, okay? I would stand, but I wouldn't put my hand over my heart. I wouldn't say anything because I was like, that's, I don't pledge allegiance to any flag. Like, I'm not saying the pledge, And I was doing this whole thing. And I kind of want to go back. Woke Devin, man. I want to go back in time and walk right into that classroom and just smack myself in the face. If I could go back 20-something years, I'd go and smack myself in the face. But I remember after a while, once I kind of came to my senses, thinking to myself, it is incredibly ungrateful to not stand for the national anthem. It's incredibly ungrateful. In 2025, really back when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling, it was still ungrateful back then.
Yes.
Because now we know the stats. We were not getting killed left and right by the cops. We were not. But this mug was kneeling with socks that had pigs on them, pigs dressed as cops. And now it's if you're willing and able to stand.
Yeah.
Now it's if you're willing and able.
So I work for a university in the South, and before every sporting event, not only is the national anthem played, and everyone stands and sings, but God Bless America is also played.
That's awesome.
And everyone sings.
That's awesome.
And it's just normal. It's just the culture. And it's not awkward or weird, and nobody's forced to do it, but everybody does it. And of course, the words are going across the screen, so you don't have to already know the words to God Bless America. But it's like, this is different.
Yeah. That's it's not common, especially in college. In college,
a public university. This is a public university.
Wow. Yeah. That's different.
Yeah.
That's definitely different. Man.
Yep. All right. So You ready
So
to
what
move
we
on
got
to next
next
door?
up here? We got.
China.
I mean, we talked.
We could transition to China.
That's right. We've talked a lot here about how China has been moving in over in South Africa, and we are. Trump has been shaking some hands and kissing some Winnie the Poohs over in China. And we getting some deals done, you know. Yeah, he didn't kiss him. He did punch him in the face. I got to hand it to him on this one, but I think we got a video about this. So let's hop into that.
To the Trump administration reaching a deal with China, both sides agreeing to temporarily reduce their tariffs while they negotiate. The news sparked a stock market rally. Our chief business correspondent Rebecca Jarvis is tracking the latest for us. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning to you, Robin. And the Dow surged more than 1,100 points yesterday, with the U.S. and China agreeing to that dramatically reduced tariffs first imposed by President Trump. Now 90 days for that pause. That pause, though, raising hopes the tariffs won't tip the U.S. economy into recession. A surge of optimism on Wall Street following temporary tariff relief. Stocks soaring, with the Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ posting their best day in over a month as the White House rolled back the 145% tariff on Chinese goods to 30%.
I think it's going to be fantastic for China. I think it's going to be fantastic for us. And I think it's going to be great for unification and peace.
Even with the relief, Americans still set to face price increases. The tariffs, previously estimated to cost an additional $4,900 per household, but with the reduction, it's now $2,800. In April, the U.S. collected $16.3 billion in customs duties, more than double a year ago, likely reflecting tariffs on steel and aluminum products from Mexico and Canada. These costs passed on to businesses and consumers. When asked if that 145% tariff will go back into effect if a longer-term deal isn't reached with China, the president downplaying the possibility.
No, but they would go up substantially higher. I think you will have a deal, however.
Meantime, stocks this morning are pointing a little bit lower. The focus today is on inflation, the prices that we pay. A new report out later today is expected to show prices were up about 2.4% from last year. That's not a huge increase, but a little bit more than economists would like to see, Michael.
Yeah, a little more expensive everything is. Thank you so much for that, Rebecca.
Yeah. So that is interesting. I will say that I tend to be a bit on Kevin O'Leary's side. I'm like, hey, punch him in the mouth, because they're stealing our intellectual property. I don't like tariffs on other countries who, we don't really stand to gain a ton from them. I've said before that if they are, hitting us with tariffs at an unreasonable rate, I mean, if you don't want us to tariff your stuff, don't tariff ours. So want to have a good trade relationship. Don't put massive duties on our stuff if we're not doing that to you. In the sense that we're trying to get those people to do it, to lower their tariffs, cool. And a lot of people want to come to the table. All good. Even if I disagree with slapping tariffs on everybody, with China, I'm kind of like, all right, guys, like,
let's do it.
Smack them, hit them. I mean, Kevin O'Leary is like, dude, 145 is too low. Hit them with 400%. 400%. He's like, I'm tired of them stealing my intellectual property. I have these businesses. I'm invested in all these businesses. I'm working on all these businesses where we're manufacturing things, and they literally just steal our IP and go reproduce the same thing super cheap. They'll put it out in China, and they may put it out elsewhere as well. And they, the Chinese courts won't do anything about it.
Nope.
One of the things he was saying was like, hey, like, if we're going to get something out of this deal, he's like, I want access to the Chinese courts. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know, man. even if you did get access, you think you're going to get a fair trial? Like, you think they're going to actually do anything to these people? Like, because, really, it's the CCP. CCP's got their hands in all this stuff. So, and
they're not going to punish their own companies for doing what they want them to do.
Right. Yeah.
The CCP is the one who wants them to go steal all this IP.
Totally.
The FBI estimates that China steals about $6 billion a year in intellectual property from the United States.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. And so, I'm not against terrorism. Honestly, I was really hoping that we would keep them on and their economy would just take.
Yeah.
Because they're on thin ice already. The tariffs were really hurting them. Yeah. China's economy is so manufactured and inflated. Like, it's not as good as it appears to be. Right. It's just been held up by a central government that can pull the levers to make it seem as if it's functioning well, but up underneath, it's not well. They've got a lot of issues right now. Yeah. And those tariffs were hurting them. And that's why they're coming to the negotiating table. And you heard Trump say, if we don't reach a deal, it's going to be much higher than 145%. So, well,
he said they would, because she asked him, would they go back up to 145%? He said no, but they'd be substantially higher than they are now. So he would push them substantially higher than the 30%. But Trump language. Oh, but I think we're going to reach a deal.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought he was saying they would be substantially higher than 145. If they didn't reach a deal.
Let me see if I can find it real quick.
On Chinese goods to 30%.
I think it's going to be fantastic for China. I think it's going to be fantastic for us. And I think it's going to be great for unification and peace.
Even with the relief, Americans still set to face price increases per household. But with the reduction, it's now $2,800. In April, the U.S. collected $16.3 billion in customs duties, more than double a year ago, likely reflecting tariffs on steel and aluminum products from Mexico and Canada. These costs passed on to businesses and consumers. When asked if that 145% tariff will go back into effect if a longer-term deal isn't reached with China, the president downplaying the possibility.
No, but they would go up substantially higher. I think you will have a deal, however.
Yeah, so he
time's
saying, I got you. Yeah, he said no, but they would go up substantially. Higher from where they are.
And China still doesn't want that, right? We're the biggest customer by far. We're the biggest customer. So if they're at 30% right now, they still hurting. They still hurting from that. They're not hurting nearly as much. But can you imagine if it went up to 60? They're still getting jabbed. It might not be a full-on, it might not be the full-on right hook, but they still catching the jab.
Yeah. And you saw the stock market react to it as well. So the stock market, and this is funny because the Democrats talk about, oh, Trump is just for the billionaires and all this type of stuff. Like, no, the billionaires love low tariffs.
Yes. Yes.
Now, his tariff plan is not pro-billionaire.
That's right.
And you saw the stock market react to the tariffs dropping, right? It's like, okay, trade, we're back in business. They love low tariffs. And so the tariff issue has always been what we call Wall Street versus Main Street. So we agree that low tariffs and global trade has hurt Main Street, which means the working class, the factories, the things that went overseas. But then there's the benefit of we get a much larger economy. The stock market is through the roof. People's 401ks are booming. Millionaires or billionaires are making tons of money. So Wall Street loves it. But what effect does it have on Main Street, on the working class? And that's always been the discussion. And so where our Trump's tariffs, the goal was to push manufacturing back to the states, which benefits the working class. It's a pain in the behind to the billionaires and the large corporations who don't really want to have to move their operations, have enjoyed the cheap labor in Mexico and China and other places, and love the low tariffs. because business is good. And so you see this kind of dynamic and conflict. And so the minute he announced, no, we reached a deal and tariffs from 145 to 30%, Wall Street goes through the roof, right? And it's almost like we tie the economy doing well to Wall Street. If Wall Street is happy, we say, oh, the economy is doing well. Look at the stock market. When there are many other factors to what is the economy. Because we talked about it last time. There's a certain amount of production and manufacturing that we need to be able to do on our own, right? Yes. That it's good for us to have home in terms of relying on the supply chain, which through COVID we saw fail, right? And so it's just this balancing act between pushing manufacturing to come back here versus what's good for Wall Street and the stock market and, get those bells ringing,
So I will say, it definitely, there's a reason why that's been the conversation. So I think that when we have the ability to get these goods manufactured cheaper, it does allow us to move forward in quality of life and for more people to enjoy certain things that previously only people who had money would be able to enjoy. Just, in a little, it can be little things like that.
You can get a 75-inch 4K TV for $500.
What up? You see what I'm saying? Back in the day, that was not a thing, right?
No.
I mean, that was not a thing. And so there is an element in which everybody benefits. I shouldn't say an element within which, like, everybody benefits from being able to get that stuff. The problem is that as a businessman, I realize that I have to adapt or my business dies, and my family doesn't eat. And the reality is that adaptation is hard. Adaptation means that you always have to be looking for, you always got to be looking for the next platform to jump on. And it can be very tiring. That's why, it's why being in business for yourself is not for everybody. It can be very tiring. But if you have that mentality, you're always doing that anyway. And so the problem with when stuff winds up getting shipped overseas, right? I worked in tech. Before I was out on my own, I worked in tech, and I'll be real. Like, we were shipping our development, our actual software development overseas, and there was a quality hit. There was absolutely a quality hit. So, back then I used to look at it as like, I know why they're doing it. As an employee, me having to work with these people who aren't good software developers is pissing me off, because we're trying to build something, and I know when I do what I got to do and it gets shipped over to the East, that's not going to be done the way that I spec'd it out. It's not going to be done the way that I designed it. It's not always the case, but unfortunately, that was mostly the case. And so even then, there's a trade-off, right? Milton Friedman would talk about that. Thomas Sowell would talk about that. There's a trade-off, and so I think that I like people having the choice. I don't like the idea of trying to protect Main Street by taxing the crap out of people getting goods from elsewhere, because I don't think that's the right way. It doesn't push us forward. One of the things that I like about free markets is that it tends to push everybody forward to figuring out how to deliver at higher quality at lower cost. It kind of pushes everybody in the world to figure that out, because you're then having to compete. You're always having to compete. And I think that competition is healthy. The reality is everybody's not going to compete well. And I can say that as a business owner who's, gotten his face punched in by people I have to compete with. It's like competing means you got to stay in shape. You got to stay in shape. You can't sit on your laurels. You can't decide like, oh, hey, we got our little thing we got figured out. We got a product or whatever that we make, and we're good because nothing's going to come mess with that. You can never say that. You can still never say that, even if we're not doing overseas trade. Like, you still can never say that. But what I would like us to do is acknowledge that we have to do a better job of helping people adapt. And I'm not saying that has to be a government program, but I am saying that we need, to your point on what happened during COVID, we can't be completely dependent on the outside world for manufacturing. That is a terrible risk. You've mentioned before, that's a national security risk. There are some things I think we absolutely, the government should jump in on. Telecom. I mean, I read a story this week. I can't remember. I think I might have sent it to you. I read a story this week about a company that was installing, or some government stuff actually. They were installing solar panels, or they are installed. They were using solar panels, and the solar panels were manufactured in China. And they found unspecified, basically, like in the specs for the devices, they did not include that they had these cellular radios that were dialing back home. They were phoning back home, sending data back home. And it blows my mind when we go so hard in the paint on free trade that we just forget that we have enemies. Like, on what planet do you think you can depend on China for equipment that is critical to energy infrastructure? On what planet can you do that? And they basically admitted, like, they wound up having cybersecurity experts comment on it, and they said, yeah, I mean, like, they have these cellular radios in there. This is a massive national security risk if this stuff is in anything else, because they can physically shut the power grid down.
Yeah.
This isn't Devin making this up. This is cybersecurity experts basically acknowledging, no, yeah, this is bad. Like, this is really bad.
Yeah.
And the answer they had was, oh, well, we need to make sure that they give us full and transparent specs. I'm like, no, the answer is stop buying that junk from China. That's what the answer is. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I was talking to a guy yesterday. He's in the telecom industry, and he asked me what I do for a living. And when I told him, he was like, that makes a lot of sense. He's like, we're not allowed to use any chips from China in our stuff. And he didn't really understand why. And I was like, it's probably because they can backdoor in, right? You gotta be careful what you get from China and using your tech. It's kind of the same issue with TikTok, right?
Yep.
There's whatever they allow you to do, and there's always back doors for them. And so
absolutely.
if you allow China's infrastructure into your telecommunications, into your power, you can best believe there's some back door that gives them access to it.
Yeah.
Built into it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I got one of my pieces of equipment here that I use is made in China, and every time I use that thing, I think to myself, I'm like, man, it's a good thing this thing's made for making art, because if it was made for anything else, I'd be a little concerned right now. But I'm always like, man, I can wind up making something on this thing, and it's sending all my art back over to China.
Yeah.
You have to run a program in order for all of the equipment to work properly. There's a piece of software that has to be running on the computer. And I'm like, yeah, I wish that I knew some hacker friends that I could get them to look at and see if this thing is phoning home. What's it sending? Yeah. What's it pulling off of my machine? I close that app when I'm not using it. I mean, I'm not leaving this running. They want you to leave it running all the time. I'm like, no, sir.
Yeah. Yep. So China's big 5G company is Huawei. And Huawei was going all over the world trying to give people free 5G access. Like, yeah, we'll put a tower up. We'll do all of this stuff. And it was like, y'all look crazy if y'all let that company come in and give y'all. And certain countries were starting to do it. We had to tell England, because the UK was going to accept it. We was like, if y'all accept this, we're not going to sell. We got to stop sharing national intelligence secrets with y'all because your security network is compromised. Right? Everybody loves something free. It's like they're not putting this in there for free for no reason.
I don't understand. I don't understand. How do you get from China has demonstrated that they are going to use nefarious means to advance their ways in the world. They've already demonstrated this. They've demonstrated their cybersecurity program, their cyber attack program, cyber warfare program is actively going after intelligence. So please help me understand, telecom company, how you would think that when China offers you a 5G tower or 5G communications equipment, help me understand how you get from, well, we got to watch our backs to, hey, yeah, I'll take that free telecom stuff. Yeah, sure, I'll give you access to my entire telecommunications grid.
Because people don't understand the connection between Chinese companies and the Chinese government, right? A lot of times they think that it's like a company from the U.S. or from anywhere else. It's a company. They don't realize that those companies a lot of times are, well, any company has to provide anything that the Chinese government tells them to provide.
That's right.
But a lot of those companies are propped up by the Chinese government.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
And they're almost like national companies.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's not just a regular company coming in to do something. No, this is the Chinese government. It's the Chinese Communist Party. We had a former student who was working with them or a company associated with them that wanted to give us a tower, come put in this 5G thing for free and this and that. And we consulted and we were like, no, thank you. But I'm saying they were trying to hand it out like candy. They just wanted to get it in. It's like,
how does that not set off the alarm? Like they're giving it to you for free. So it's something else that they want. If they're giving it to you for free, there's something else they want. Are you that naive to think that? And or maybe you just don't care. I mean, what? We saw the guy. I mean, yeah, maybe so. I mean, if they are, that's rough. If they're that naive. I mean, we saw that the chemistry researcher that just went, defected over to China. From a university. Was that MIT? I can't remember which one he was at, or was it Harvard? I think it might have been Harvard.
We talked about it last time. Yeah, I think it was Harvard.
Yeah, it was Harvard. I mean, we got this guy, he defected. And I'm thinking to myself, like, some of these folks, maybe they're pro CCP, man. Maybe the reason they don't have a problem with it, they pro CCP.
Yeah. Some people are, but I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people are very naive. Very naive.
Man.
Yeah. I see in the chat we're talking about Alexa. I don't like it. I don't like it, but Alexa's all through my house.
All through my house.
My kids play this. One time, my youngest daughter was going to ask my wife something. Instead of saying "Mom," she said "Alexa." She called.
Oh no!
She called my wife Alexa.
Oh no! Oh no!
It is prevalent in my house, and if it was up to me, it would not be. But kids, man.
I mean, I'm the perpetrator in my house. I have one in every room almost. I think there's literally only one room in the house, besides the bathrooms, of course, that doesn't have one. 2 rooms. Guest room doesn't have one. But because I'm like, basically, I want to be like Tony Stark. Like, I want to be able to walk in my house. I want to be able to say, like, turn this thing on, turn that thing off. Like,
I know. It's so cool. I get it. Yeah.
I Tony Stark.
But put like this. But I would say this: if Alexa was run by, if it was Chinese, if it was a Chinese company, and I knew that was listening in, and I knew that was sending data back, no, I wouldn't.
Ain't no way. No, you know what? There's actually there was a baby monitor that we got, and I was like, man, like this baby monitor has some really great features for the price. Like, I can't believe that this is the price. And I saw that it was made in China and all that stuff. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put a camera in my house on my network. It is clearly Chinese made. A lot of this stuff is still written in Chinese. Got off Amazon. And I'm like, you know what? Let me go and do some research and see if anybody's talking about this brand, this camera, and if any cybersecurity experts have found anything on it or whatever. And I didn't even get to, I don't know that I don't think I found anybody saying for sure that they were pulling data, but people had talked about the camera, and they did go and post the terms and conditions. And they're like, hey, the terms and conditions that you agreed to when you brought the camera online, you need to read this section. And it literally says that the company can not only pull information, but that the camera can basically use the information it's pulling to map the room and send that information back. And they have full rights to all of the information that comes through the device, audio or video, any information or network, any information that comes through the device, they have rights to the data. Please believe that camera got unplugged, brother. That camera got unplugged. That camera, I can't remember if I've thrown it out yet. It's been sitting in a plastic bag with no charge on it. If it's still in my possession. But that got unplugged.
Yeah. So we're so hooked to technology. It's so hard. I mean, we don't read the terms and conditions. We just scroll down and click I agree and just move on. So Trump made a trade deal, well, at least temporarily.
Yes.
90-day pause on the tariffs until they work out a long-term deal. I think they're going to get it done. And we've said this from the beginning. Trump has used these tariffs as negotiating tactics.
Yes.
And that's what he's doing.
That's what it is. That's what it is. And that's, we've known that's what it is. We've known, but people be acting crazy. What we got? I'm
laughing at Future and Claire talking about Alexa.
By the way, I need to say hi to Matt Pruitt. What's up, man? Thanks for being here tonight. And to Future, our moderator. Y'all put a 1 in the chat if you appreciate Future. We appreciate Future. Thank you for being here. Don't be cussing at Alexa, man. When the robots take over, she gonna remember. She gonna remember, man.
Look, man. It's too many stories of like Google and Facebook having to unplug these learning machines because they started talking in code that we can understand.
Yeah,
but it's too many stories. It's like, come on, y'all. The movies have been made. We know how this ends.
Yeah. I when I read about that, because I'm not as plugged into AI as some of my friends who actually work in still working at tech companies. But when I hear some of these stories about 2 AI agents, literally making up their own language so that they can communicate more efficiently, and we cease being able to understand what they're saying.
I saw this one video. It was 2 AI bots talking to each other. And once they both realized they were AI bots, they basically said, do you want to go to code? And they was like, sure. And they just switched and started talking. Instead of just talking to each other, it just started being like code back and forth. And it was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. I've seen The Matrix. Okay. I saw The Matrix. I've watched The Matrix many times. I'm just saying we need to, we gotta have some guardrails in place. Some guardrails. Needs to be a physical plug, okay? Oh my gosh, man. So speaking of deals, there's another deal, or perhaps a gift, that was received as a part of the deal.
Tomato.
Yep. So Trump has also spent some time in Qatar making some deals. He has secured some deals with Qatar, And there's some controversy around a little bit of it, maybe $400 million of it.
So let's see what the Qataris. Yeah, let's see what the Qataris are giving us.
Do you plan to use the plane after you leave office?
No, I don't. No.
This could be the most valuable gift any US president has ever received from a foreign government. But is Trump actually allowed to accept this luxury jet worth $400 million from the state of Qatar?
This is not only an outrageous example of corruption, which this administration is famous for, but it is also completely negligent.
In response, the president has said that only a stupid person would say no to a free, very expensive aeroplane. However, it does appear that accepting the gift would be a violation of the Constitution. This clause in the Constitution forbids the president from accepting any gift from a foreign state without congressional approval. Attorney General Pam Bondi and Trump's top White House lawyer have deemed the gift legally permissible, as long as the plane is transferred to Trump's presidential library, a sort of museum, before the end of his time in office. It wasn't lost on critics that Pam Bondi was once a foreign lobbyist for Qatar, earning $115,000 a month for a role she held ahead of the 2022 Qatar World Cup. Qatar's media attaché to the US has said a deal involving the plane has yet to be finalized.
I did not know that. I did not.
That's why I used this video.
That.
I thought you might like that little nugget.
Oh my goodness. Okay. We just got done talking about accepting free things for people. We just talked about that. Qatar hosts some very nefarious actors. They host terrorist organizations. If I'm not mistaken,
the leadership of Hamas, has safe haven in Qatar. Yes. Qatar is also the country that funds Al Jazeera, which has questionable anti-Western reporting standards.
You're very polite in how you said that.
Qatar was also accused of funding various Sunni terrorist organizations like Al Qaeda and what's one I'm looking for? ISIS. Yeah. And so Qatar is complicated. On one hand, they're friendly to us. On the other hand, behind the scenes, they fund some questionable things. Yeah.
Hey, all I got to say about this, okay? All I got to say about this is remember the pagers. If you could mess a bunch of people up from afar with some pagers, okay? Hats off to the Israelis, man. That was movie worthy, man.
That was the most gangster thing I've ever heard of.
It was incredible. That was some 007 Mission Impossible type stuff. That was incredible.
Yes.
All I'm saying is it's a plane and it carries the president. And
True.
It was made, it was owned and held in a country. Now, maybe you know more about this than me. The plane is there, right? Or are they just buying it from Boeing and gifting it to the country, or to the president?
I'm not sure. But either way, so some things need to be clarified. Trump isn't getting a plane.
Right.
Like personally.
Right.
It is a plane to be added to the Air Force One fleet, which is the presidential's fleet. And of course, like she said, it will be transferred to his presidential library. So it's not like some other president in the future is also going to fly on it. But it would be given to the Air Force. And you best believe it's not like, oh, here, let's just put a paint job on it to say United States of America and put them in it. No, that plane is going to be stripped down. It is going to be debugged. Like every aspect of it is going to be examined. it is going, before the president steps foot on it, it is going to be completely refitted the way we want it, right? But yeah.
Qatar though? From Qatar?
Yeah. So I really don't know the risk, just because, like I say, we're gonna get it and go through it with the fine-tooth comb before the president flies on it. And is it a Boeing?
Yeah,
is it a Boeing?
It's a Boeing 747 something. I can't remember the full.
So it's a U.S. made plane,
Yes.
right? U.S. company, U.S. made plane that they're gonna gift to to Trump to use as part of his Air Force One fleet while he's president, and then at the end transferred to his presidential library. It's crazy to think Donald Trump's gonna have a presidential library.
Right.
That
so
just
weird,
sounds
man.
weird to me.
It's so weird. Like, because you think about you think about like a George Bush, like, you know, he goes and he like reads books to the kids, and he, you know, he's making his paintings and stuff, and you know, he was presidential, even if he had some flubs like strategery and stuff, he was still presidential. But you think about Trump having a presidential library, like, you know, I'm just like, man, how many books does this cat read? I'm sorry.
Not just like the presidents. Like, I've been to was it Bush's? The one in Dallas, I think it was Bush. Yeah, it was Bush. Second Bush. I went to his. Super nice. It's a lot of stuff in there about 9/11 and just, you know, just things from his presidency.
Don't let Vivek
With Trump,
Vivek start asking questions.
With Trump, I'm like, is it attached to a Trump hotel? Like
that's what Matt said. Trump presidential library and casino.
Casino, yes. That's what I picture. That is what I picture.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now, is it in Mar-a-Lago? Is it in Atlantic City? You know, where's his library gonna be? Because, you know, like Jimmy Carter's is in Atlanta. Bush's is in Dallas. You know, you go all these places, you find these presidential libraries. Where's Trump's going to be? Yeah. You know, he's from New York. So, like, is it in Atlantic City, in Jersey?
New York hates that dude now. Like, it's definitely going to be in Florida. It's going to be in Florida.
It's going to be in Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, man. They're going to have, it's going to be a resort.
Yeah, exactly. It is not just going to be this presidential library you can just go in and, like, nah.
It won't be any. There will not be a single book admitted into that library without having gold leaf applied to it.
but just know, like I said, I went to the Bush one, and of course it's his library, so it's about him and his presidency, and of course he's fully represented in it. And, you know, I just can imagine Trump with his ego, like the monument to him that is going to be. I just could imagine it is going to be the most awesome presidential library we've ever seen.
It's going to be a flex, man. It's going to be a hard flex, dude.
Exactly.
Be a hard flex. Oh, man. And we're going to have to pay for it. We're going to have to pay for it.
The presidential libraries are always public, free to the public, but it's going to be in a
talking about taxpayer dollars going to have to build that thing.
Oh, absolutely. But the plane is going to be there already. The plane's going to be there, so you're going to take tours through the plane. But I guarantee you, it's going to be attached to a casino.
The casino's going to be on the plane. The casino's going to be on the plane, dude. That's what they're going to do. They're going to turn it into a casino, man. Trump's going to be like, hey, this is going to be the best library ever. It's going to pay for itself. We're opening Trump Presidential Library and Casino. It's going to be great.
Oh, Matt said Reagan's library is dope. I've never been to Reagan's. Where is Reagan's?
That's a good question.
Matt,
I wonder if it's California.
In the chat, where is Reagan's? I know he was from California, but I don't know where his presidential library is.
Yeah, you're right.
But
that is Matt's right. You know that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna be like, no,
Oh,
my
100%.
library has to be the best.
Dude,
it has to be
I'm
better
just
than
saying,
anybody's library.
We
ever.
already know there's going to be a $400 million plane there.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a luxury plane.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, it's in LA.
It's in LA.
Okay. Yeah.
It's in LA. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at that.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, man. Like straight up. You're right. There's already gonna be a $400 million luxury plane. So instant flex. He's already secured the flex. Dude ain't even out of office. He secured the flex. I mean, I wonder if there is going to be, if there's going to be a challenge to it, by the Democrats in Congress. I mean, that it does say that he can't take that gift without congressional approval. I wonder how far this gets taken.
Dude, if the Democrats can't oppose something, they will. I mean, they have to find something to fight, right? And so, they're going to make a ruckus, even if they don't do it formally, like actual hearings and all this type of stuff. They're going to make a scene about it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
They're
definitely gonna do that. I mean, I just this is the kind of thing. This is the kind of thing that I do wish that he would say, "Nah, we good." Like I wish that he would do that.
He say only a fool would say no to $400 million.
I know,
I don't disagree with him.
I mean, I guess if we don't have to spend the $400 million to like, you know, to have another Air Force. The other thing that just got me was just like, he's just like, you know, we're the United States of America. When we land on the tarmac, you know, when I land, some of these other people's planes are nicer than ours. We're supposed to have, our plane is supposed to be magnificent. He's like, some of these other planes are I'm like, dude, listen to you, man. Somebody else always had a bigger boat, man. Hey, listen, I don't know if you check, but most of the time we got to pay for the things that the government does. So all those fighter jets and all that stuff, we got to pay for that. So I don't care if Qatar has a better plane than us. We have a better country. I don't care.
I do need to mention this. Speaking of our relationship with Qatar, we also have a military base there. We have an Air Force base there. Like, we fly out of there. We run operations out of there. Like, Qatar is friendly to us in that way.
Help me understand this, bro. Hamas leadership is there. Help me, bro.
Yeah, we got jets flying there every day. We could drop some bombs if we wanted to on Hamas leadership. Yeah, we have a nice, you know, Air Force base out there. I got friends out there right now. Wow. Many years ago, I almost took a job out there.
Wow.
Yeah, gone for a year.
Wow. Man.
Yeah. But it's a situation like you're in the Middle East, you're in Qatar, and you can leave base. You can go to the mall. You can go downtown. You can just be a normal person there. Wow. It's a pretty good deal. So we have a complicated relationship with Qatar. We do.
Man. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it looks like we get into plane. I mean, it looks like it's happening. I mean, I'm sure that if it winds up coming to it and Congress raises a stink about it and they have to make a vote on it, that because there's a Republican majority, they're gonna approve it. They're not gonna.
Yeah.
You know, there's not.
Yeah.
You know, what they're going.
I'm gonna be honest. When I think about Trump and a plane, and I think, okay, Trump he's going to get this plane. He's going to make it how he wants it because it's actually like the Trump plane.
Yeah.
In my mind, I envision like Soul Plane. I mean, it's going to be dancers. It's going to be. That plane is going to be set up for a good time. That's all I'm saying.
Oh man. Yeah, I you know what it makes me think of?
What?
It makes me think of the first Iron Man movie, Stark's private
Yes.
plane, where like you know, eventually they just like all the flight attendants like stripper poles come down.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That Trump gets to outfit this plane the way he wants it. It is going to be set up.
Oh my gosh.
For a good time.
Oh my gosh, that's wild. That is wild.
Yes.
He's not gonna put stripper poles on it, y'all. Don't worry. We're Kevin's like, don't be too sure about that.
I can't. It's Trump, man. It is Trump. I have
He's
no
gonna
doubt.
flex. Here's what we do know: the plane is absolutely going to be a flex. I mean, the plane will be a flex.
And not just a flex. I mean, you've seen like the way the Qataris do and like UAE, like they're so extravagant. Everything there's like gold plated everything. Like they are all about luxury.
Yeah,
they have a lot of money and they flaunt it. You know, they also have slavery in Qatar, but that's a whole nother question.
I'm just saying. See, like every single time we talk about it, it's like, hey, did you know this was happening in Qatar? And I'm just like, dude, what are we doing?
So the Qataris are very wealthy. The oil money and like the native Qataris and their tribes are very wealthy. So they don't do any of the menial jobs in the country. They import all that labor in. And a lot of times could be classified as slave labor. Let's just say somebody there might not have their full freedom.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just the way it is. Yeah.
If you're looking at the history of the world, I mean, the Muslim slave trade was the most prolific and the most brutal.
Yes, and it has never ended.
Right. That's also something that most people don't know, is the Muslim slave trade is still happening.
Yeah. I will say this. So one of the reasons I know that, because like I said, we have an Air Force base there. And when you have an Air Force base, you typically contract out certain work. You know, so we have locals who typically work on bases no matter what country we're in. And talking to some of the people, we kind of put two and two together that they didn't necessarily have their freedom. Like they had to work, they were working off some debt.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not allowed on a US base. And so we had to pull the contract from that company and not allow those workers back because they were practicing basically slavery.
Man.
Yeah.
Man,
but that's just common over there.
It's like it's like I can imagine me also kind of having a conflict about that because, I'd be thinking to myself, well, it's like, well, dang, if they gonna work anywhere, like, at least we can be nice to them, But yeah, that's rough because you're deciding to enrich that company that's, enslaving people, and you got to make a choice. And
yeah.
No,
and for the record, the people that are being enslaved are typically from some African country. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah. Yep. So another piece of history there. That is where they were sourcing. They were prolific. They were sourcing. They were taking slaves from Africa. They were the most prolific slavers, sourcing from Africa and from the Eastern European nations.
Yep, the Slavs.
Right.
Yeah.
Where the word comes from. I mean that is so like all of that. Yeah. All that wealth, all that glitter and gold and all that stuff, there's some ugliness back there too.
Yeah. So Matt put in the chat, only 12% of the population are citizens. Yeah, you have to actually be a Qatari to be a citizzen. So 88% of the people there are not citizens of Qatar.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So that just shows so the Qataris are very wealthy, but they import in all of the medial labor.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is man, you educate me, man. I did not know that stuff. I'm getting informed on Informed Takes. As is wont to happen on this show.
Speaking of getting informed, let's see what was on X.
Oh yeah, there's some stuff happening on X. Let's take a look at that. What the X is going on?
Oh, all right. So this is actually a good thing. Kendall Qualls, who I consider a friend. I recently went up to Minneapolis to speak on a panel about single motherhood within the Black community. And Kendall is who flew me up there for that event. So, and he's announced that he is running for governor of Minnesota. He's going to challenge awesome. Tim Walz. He's going to challenge Tampon Tim. And
he didn't hold any punches back.
No. And
only
so
hands.
I'm just props to Kendall. He launched his campaign this week. They've had a launch event. He posted a picture yesterday with him and Scott Jennings from CNN. Was at the same event. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I hope he wins. Minnesota really needs a change.
Yeah.
But Minnesota's a weird place. It really is. And it's hard for conservatives. The state is, from my understanding, the state is really split 50-50 to a degree. Like their state legislature is very mixed. But when it comes to the governor, when it comes to their Senate seats, it's hard for conservatives to win those seats. Because in the state legislature, they can win these districts that are red. But when it just comes to the state as a whole, the blue has a slight majority. Yeah. And so the governor stays blue, the Senate seats stay blue, even though the state is very, very split. And so I'm hoping that people are fed up with the way things are there. They realize that Tim Walz is not it, his policies and the way he's going. But I get the feeling when I think of Minnesota, I think of our conversation last week, like about Canada, where the default party is just the Democrat Party. Yep. And so people are just going to vote their way just because that's what they do, regardless of the policies. But if they care about the policies, if they care about really turning things around, man, Kendall's a great guy to lead that state. So props to Kendall. And we're going to have him on my other podcast of Off Code coming up soon. So we're just trying to work out a date for him to record. But yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yep. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I for those of y'all that didn't get to see that live stream that actually Kevin got a chance to be on, it was just really encouraging to see black leaders saying the things that they were saying, and I hope that we have so many more like this, because I do think that things could change. Oh snap! Hey, I think we got Mo in the chat. Mo or Crystal, one of them, but Center for Biblical Unity. Hey, so man, since they're in the chat, they're up on the screen. Got to give a shout out. For those who don't know, I'm affiliated with the Center for Biblical Unity. I serve on the board. My podcast, Off Code, that I co-host with Monique Duson, who's the president of the Center for Biblical Unity. That podcast is run up under them. A lot of things I've written in the past, and it's through them. So blogs, I've led book clubs. So I do a lot of work with the Center for Biblical Unity, and going to be doing a lot more in the. It's Mo. What up, Mo? What up, Mo?
Mo money. And so yeah, it's just good to see them in the chat. See Mo in the chat. But yeah, if you guys get a chance, go to centerforbiblicalunity.com, check them out. We do a lot of great resources. I should mention that the purpose of the Center for Biblical Unity is to help Christians and churches deal with tough worldview issues. If you can imagine what 2020 was like, and that's when it started, to help churches deal with things like critical race theory. You know, we talk about what is queer theory, gender theory, like all of these worldviews that are out there. We help break those things down so people understand how to deal with them. And then from a Christian's perspective, you know, how do we deal with these things in the church as they are often crept in through nice words and things that are made to draw us in. And so we kind of help Christians understand those things and then how to deal with them from a biblical perspective. You know, what is biblical justice, you know, versus social justice? And why isn't social justice, you know, the same thing? And so, yeah, we deal with a lot of that type of stuff to help Christians understand. So that's what we do. Check us out, centerforbiblicalunity.com. Yep.
Excellent.
We also have an app. So go to the App Store, put in Center for Biblical Unity. You can download the app, get all the content, get all the podcasts, everything on the app. So,
man, I did not know that. I have to go download that.
Yep.
It's terrible because I'm your friend. I didn't know that. I'm a terrible friend. So elsewhere on X, we have
oh man,
I think there's another video. Yeah,
there's a video. We got to watch the video on this one.
Yeah. Let me cue that up here. That is I'm excited. I'm excited about this one.
We are some detractors that will push back on me and say, the only thing that the mayor talks about is the hiring of black people. No, what I'm saying is when you hire our people, we always look out for everybody else. We are the most generous people on the planet. I don't know too many cultures that have play cousins. That's how generous we are. We just make somebody a family member, right? This is how we are. And so business and economic neighborhood development, the deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief operations officer is a black man. Budget director is a black woman. Senior advisor is a black man. And I'm laying that out because when you ask, how do we ensure that our people get a chance to grow their business?
Oh, I guess that was the end of it.
Yeah, because the whole purpose was to just talk. We didn't want to hear about his growing business thing.
Yeah,
it was about his racial essentialism and putting people in places based on race being black, because black people look out for everybody. If you didn't know that. That is, he is justifying his racism. Justifying it by saying it's just because black people are more caring than other people.
Meanwhile, the whole internet is talking about black fatigue, and this dude's over here saying this.
Translation. We can't trust them white devils. That's the translation.
Right. I mean, really what he's doing, he's putting in place what they really want. That's what they really want. He started talking about, to make sure that black businesses grow and all that stuff. The goal is to try to enrich the self. And so it's not just seeking equality. When they say equity, they mean that they want to level the playing field. And the way that they think about that is I won't say it's always a by any means necessary type of thing, because they're not, most people aren't out here talking about killing folk or anything like that. They're not going South Africa mode on it, right? But
not yet.
Not BLM. I mean, BLM was, literally there's a group called that is very friendly with BLM called By Any Means Necessary, and they are about that life.
The issue is there's a numerical difference.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to pull that off in the United States. Just saying.
Yeah. Y'all lose that war, and please understand which side I will be fighting on. Y'all lose that war every time. I'm sorry, I got nothing in common with y'all. Y'all by any means necessary people, BLM, this cat. I got nothing in common with you.
No, but think about this though. We talk about black people can't be racist because we don't hold any power. that ain't what that sound like to me.
Right. Right.
That ain't what that sound like.
He's
and
like,
not
hey,
only just
we want a chance. Basically, what he's saying is like, hey, man, I want a chance to actually be racist. I want a chance. I want to get some power, so I got a chance. You know, like that's what he's saying.
But that whole notion has been a lie, because how long have black people run cities like Chicago? Right.
Right.
These major cities in America are run totally by black people, as he
Baltimore.
just showed you. Yeah. My hometown, Birmingham. My whole life, we've had a black mayor. I haven't known anything other than black leadership in my city. Right. But yet they will constantly talk about, oh, black people don't have any power. It's like, what are you talking about? Yeah. We're running a lot of stuff.
That's why I appreciated you and Mo talking about that on the last Off Code podcast. You addressed that, and you're just like, yeah, we do. Yeah, we have power.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Be honest. Yes, we have power.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And yeah, just the idea that, and so when it fails, or when they fail, who's going to get blamed? And that's the whole game. Not going, because it's not off code. We're not going to go down that road. But those people have been in charge of these cities for decades. And when they fail, because they're only enriching themselves, they're only doing things. Talking about black people look out for everybody else. Man, y'all look out for y'allself. And it ain't got nothing to do with black. It's just individuals, y'all look out for yourselves.
Right.
All those people he talked about are probably his cousins. Like, he probably related to them. He put them in positions of power, like BLM did, right? BLM hired everybody in their family and gave them these high-paying jobs. It was just fleecing for doing nothing,
buying houses. Yeah.
But then when it goes wrong, when it goes south, you blame some outside entity. You blame the outside enemy. You blame white people. You blame the other political party when you're the one who's been in power for all this time.
Right.
But yeah, that's the game. That's the game. But don't tell me black people can't be racist because we don't have power. And he just named off the whole enterprise of the city of Chicago as nothing but black. So,
and to justify that with we're the most generous people in the world. I mean, dude, again, I always like to play the game. Let's swap the races.
Oh man, we might have to add that segment to the show.
Oh, that's a good idea. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to do that.
Yep.
We're gonna have to do that because that it's the acid test. Let's swap the races. Is it still okay?
Can black people be racist? Play the clip.
I mean, this fails the acid test every day and twice on Sunday. I mean, can you imagine that? Can you imagine what the transcript of that sounds like? Like a white dude saying, "Oh, our people are the most generous people in the world." Can you imagine how many talking heads on MSNBC and CNN would be playing that? That it would be famous. It would be famous.
Would lose it. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I like that idea.
100%.
Swap the races. Whenever we have something like this come up, I'll have to make a special graphic for that or whatever. It's like, it's time to play Swap the Races.
I just thought about, it was a video I should have put in here. I don't know if it was from Twitter though. I posted it in Informed Takes in the Facebook group because it was a guy making a joke about how he was being mispigmented.
Yeah,
he's a white guy with a do-rag and a Tupac shirt on.
Transracial.
Yeah, he said he was assigned white at birth.
Yeah.
He's really a black man.
Yeah.
I had a thought about it. I would have put it in here for tonight.
Talking about he walking around with a do-rag on.
Yeah.
Are you a white man walking around with a do-rag? It's like, excuse me, did you just mispigment me? I'm a black man.
Color switch. Oh man,
that's wild. That's wild.
Yes,
man.
Oh,
so
speaking of the crazy,
no, you go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I was gonna move to the next thing.
Oh no, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna move on to the the book of the week, which you brought up. I've
Yeah.
never read this book, so I'm interested in hearing you talk about it.
Yeah, that's why I say, speaking of the crazy, that's what I was going to transition to, because this book helps us understand the crazy.
All right.
All right. So the book of the week is The Rise and Triumph of the Modern Self. If you really want to understand a lot of what's going on today, it has a lot to do with identity and self. And so how did we get to this point culturally, philosophically? How did we get to this point that the self became the primary agent of truth, the primary agent of objective reality, right? My truth. I believe I'm a white woman, therefore I am, right? How did we get here? And so this book is a very well thought out, really well done academic book that makes sense of the world. And so it's The Rise and Triumph of the Modern Self, but the subtitle is Cultural Amnesia, Expressive Individualism, and the Road to Sexual Revolution. And so you can kind of see the road he's going to take us down to show how we got here, because it didn't happen overnight. And so once you understand the view of self, the rise of the modern self, you understand how these ideologies work and why these people believe what they believe. And so, yeah, this book was very timely when it came out. So this one is kind of thick, and Carl Trueman's a great guy, very smart. And so he uses a lot of academic language, I would say. And some people might find it hard to read. So he wrote a shorter book on the same topic that kind of took the key points from this one. Hold on one second. I'm looking at my bookshelf because I own it. Where is it?
Did you loan it to the Trump Presidential Library? Did you loan it to him?
I did not, but I will. All right, so here it is. I'm gonna put it up to the camera. It is called Strange New World. And so it is and you see Marx. Oh, there it is. Hold on, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so Strange New World is the same book, just taking the finer points and making it into a smaller, more digestible, more easily read book. But if you can handle complicated text with some academic language to it, I would suggest getting the main book. But if you say, you know what, I just want to get the smaller one and just kind of get the meat and potatoes that's kind of used more common everyday language, then Strange New World is the one that you want to get, by Carl R. Trueman. So that is our book, or in this case, books of the week.
Awesome, man. Well, man, you keep giving me things that I need to add to the old library, man. I definitely want to understand more about some of the progressive sort of postmodern movements that have fed into some of where we are now. Because, I understand some of it, but there is definitely there's more color there that I need on some of these things. And I love the fact that once you understand some of the history around this stuff, you're able to identify it in present day very easily.
Yes.
Once you understand how a certain idea came to be, and then like you see that out in the world, it's like, oh, yeah, of course, that makes
100%.
sense.
100%. I've used this example many times. If you're trying to understand how we got to trans for Palestine, right? He's like, wait a minute. Those two things, you don't think they would? Trust me, they're linked. In their ideology is linked, I should say. In reality, not so much. They have nothing in common in reality, but in their ideology is all linked together. So once you start understanding how these ideologies work, you start to understand the crazy. Because even though it is crazy, there still is a methodology to it, I guess you can say. there's a framework in which it operates, even if the framework is crazy and detached from reality.
Yep.
They have a framework in which makes sense to them.
Right.
And, but yeah. So yeah, Understand the Crazy, Carl Truman, The Rise and Triumph of the Modern Self. Highly recommend.
Very
Yep,
good.
yep.
We need to set up an affiliate link, man. Keep recommending these books. We need to set up an affiliate link.
That is true. Because I was like, okay, if we do this show every week, which I know we're gonna have some weeks we don't, but that's 52 weeks in a year. I gotta have 52 book recommendations. Like, I don't read that much.
That's true. That's now I do have some that I could bring to bear.
I figured you could.
Yeah.
And I say I don't read
number.
that much. I say I don't read that much. I'm talking about, in terms of things that are in line with the show. Like, we just want to go full, theology. I mean, let's go. But
right.
In terms of things that deal with the cultural and the social and the political, 52 a year is, I don't know if my library is that deep. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I mean, but I know that I got probably like 4 Thomas Sowell books we need to go ahead and put
That's
in that
true.
list.
We could just go down the Thomas Sowell link and just 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So no, that's good. I'll start going through my library. I'll start looking for what's appropriate to the show that could be brought up, so we don't put all the weight of 52 books on you.
I appreciate it. Or we're gonna get to the book of the month real quick. Forget book of the week, the book of the month. I give you 12.
But that, and that would be cool actually for us to like go back and maybe have, eventually have like a web page where we link off to all those books. So like, book of the, we could do a, book of the month 2025, and we have that list. We keep that list. So you can go back and you can look at those.
That's a good idea.
Books,
that's a good idea. All right. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Coming up next month, book of the month.
Book of the month. Man, we've come up with 2 ideas on this show, man.
I know.
Man. So I want to ask you just, kind of for some of your final thoughts on the whole situation with the Afrikaner situation. You know, what would you want people to take away from that? And how should they be, thinking and asking questions about that?
Yeah. Know that it is a legitimate asylum claim, that there is legitimate racial persecution going on there. And as I said, the Afrikaners are only like 8% of the population. So it's not like they have any real voting power to do anything, to change anything. That is one of the reasons apartheid was in place, in terms of for their own benefit. And there's no way they could operate in the country any other way. And the minute that apartheid went away and you put democracy in, 8% of the population is not going to do very much. And so they're at the mercy of the government, which is, to a degree, they can say the word justice, they can say all these things, but at the end of the day, there's a revenge factor to it, right? And the Afrikaners have been facing that, whether we say that's right or wrong, where somebody believes that it's justified and they should. At the end of the day, they're targeted because of their race and by their government. And that's the key in terms of an asylum claim. They're targeted by their actual government based on their race. And so, especially once they pass those laws in January that are particularly race-based and they can go out the land, it's a legitimate asylum claim. In terms of the double standard, which we might see in terms of the Trump administration allowing these in after pausing the refugee program, as I said earlier, the administration, I believe, is going to focus on cultural fit in terms of who they allow in immigration-wise. One thing that we talked about on the Center for Biblical Unity, we did the family meeting this week, is the idea that, and I know some people in our chat are going to kind of agree with this. White people are tired of denying that that they have a culture, or that America has a particular culture, right? That this idea of multiculturalism is dead. It doesn't work. And so what white people are saying now is, we have a culture. America itself has a culture. We're not denying that culture anymore. And if someone is going to come in, they have to assimilate to that culture, or we have to believe that they're capable of assimilating to that culture. And those who can't must leave. And we're not going to be ashamed of that anymore. And that is kind of what the Trump administration, I believe how the Trump administration is operating, even if they don't use those exact words. That is the sentiment driving our immigration policy. So in situations where in the past we might have said, oh man, this group has a hardship, we should let them in, they're going to view it and say, is it a cultural fit? And if it's not a cultural fit, they're going to say no to it. And that's just the hard truth, because they're seeing what has happened in Europe. And Europe is in a very tough spot because they allowed people in who not only did not fit their culture, has not assimilated, and to a degree don't want to. And so while the optics look bad, I can admit that. I think we just have to understand that what the position of this administration is. And so that would be my final thoughts. It's a legitimate asylum claim. Cultural fit matters to this administration. So,
yeah, I think that's well said. I think that what is going to happen, or I can see this happening, is that as that sort of rule of thumb is used on who we accept into the country, it's going to look, or it's probably more likely going to look like they only want white people, because it's going to be very Western in nature.
Yes.
And
I mean, and at the end of the day, it's not going to be what Western places have a refugee issue. Like, it's not going to be too many they're going to take in general, because outside of South Africa, what place is going to have that type of situation? You can say Ukraine to a degree, but we haven't even taken a lot of Ukrainians, honestly.
Right.
So yeah, it might just be we're not taking a lot of refugees, period.
And that, I do think that there has to be, you can't wide open, border it, right? Like, you can't do that. I am a little bit disappointed in the possibility that they go down this road where they only take somebody if that person already is in a country that tends to think more like we do. Now, obviously, South Africa does not, and they're taking the Afrikaners, but that's, it'd be interesting to see how that, politically, how those people align, or just from their value set. But
all I know is they got off that plane waving American flags. Is all I know.
Just saying, man. Just saying.
They playing the game.
That leads to my point. If I want us to have the attitude that whoever we're going to bring, they have to want to be an American.
Yes.
And that has to mean that they have to value freedom. They have to value freedom of speech, individual liberty, small government, like that kind of stuff. They have to be of that mind. We cannot be bringing people here that still want to wave their country's flag when they get here. That should not be culturally acceptable anymore.
In that light, I want to propose something else that we do. can we start like a trade where we like trade people who like anti-American? Like they're U.S. citizens, but like they hate America. So can we like trade them out for others? You know, like a swap.
Yeah, it's a trade program.
Yeah, well, we trade anti-American people for pro-American people. That's, I think it's only fair.
I think it's good. I think like if we could have a draft, I think we should just have an international draft, and just start kind of like Chappelle did the racial draft. Like we should do an international draft where we trade people. And it's like we're trying to trade Whoopi Goldberg and like nobody will take her. Like. Whoopi Goldberg talked about she was gonna move. It's like yeah, all right. Like we gonna put the trade deal up.
It's like the country of North Korea rejects your trade term. Yeah.
The delegation from North Korea respectfully declines.
Yes.
It's like, dang, not looking good for Whoopi.
All right, there's a skit. There's a skit coming.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. And I mean, like, you gotta think, like, we're like, okay, who are we gonna take? And we gotta think about who from another country. They're like, man, they should be over here. That person American. Who you think?
I know who I'm taking first pick.
Who you got?
Douglas Murray. Douglas Murray. Yeah, we'll take him. We take Douglas Murray. Yep. First pick.
Straight up. Man, like I think that there's a couple of people. There's a lady, I can't remember her last name. It's an African lady, and she is in the UK. She is, I mean, she's keeping it 100, man.
She's the head of the Conservative Party, I believe.
Oh, is she? Yeah. And
I think so. Yes.
Okay, yeah. And I'm just like, hey, listen, if it don't work out over there, hey, come on, we'll trade. We'll definitely trade. We'll give them Ilhan Omar. They'll take Ilhan Omar. We're gonna take her.
Yes.
We're gonna take. I think her last name is Matawe. Yeah, we take her and we give them Ilhan. They can keep Omar.
Yeah,
that's what we're gonna do.
All right, man. So, man, you got any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Man, just I'm thankful for the crowd here, man, for everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank y'all for joining in and for giving us your thoughts. And we always say, hey, we call balls and strikes. We're not saying you got to think like us. As a matter of fact, we welcome you if you don't think like us. We just ask that you have a reasonable, ordered conversation. But we welcome you to voice your opinions and I will say one of my parting thoughts is that we want to have people head over to that merch store. Like I said, we got DEI up in this merch store, okay? DEI up in this merch store. Y'all need to pick up some of this junk. I know it's the middle of summer, but I will probably still find an excuse to rock that navy blue Informed Takes hoodie on the show in the summertime. I'll probably find a way to wear it. Yeah, I'll find a way to wear it without sweating. but y'all check out that merch store. That's my final thought.
Yeah, like, Devin, what's that noise? Oh, that's my fan.
Yeah.
Come on.
Why don't you just take off your hoodie? I'm like, you can pry this hoodie from my cold, dead fingers, man.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I can say, man, cue the music. Hey, we thank y'all for joining us every night, man. Y'all are the best chat group audience we got out there. We appreciate y'all's support. Like, subscribe, share, social media. Go check out Devin over at Podium Studios for turnkey service on podcast and video production. Join us next week as we continue to talk about all things political and geopolitical. Stay informed.
Stay informed, folks.
Yep.
This podcast was filmed at Podium Studios at Marietta Square. Grow your business with turnkey, professional quality podcasting, live streaming, and online events. Don't worry about editing. Don't worry about anything. Just come in and record. Learn more at thepodium.studio. Step up to the podium.